On this week's UltraCycling Magazine show, Larry Oslund, WUCA Record Chairman, will answer all your questions about cycling world records. What are they? How do I set one? And what about Guinness? Now here are your hosts, Lee, Jim, and guest host, Loretta.
Well, hello, everybody. This is the UltraCycling Magazine show. I'm Jim Lawyer, and there's Lee and Loretta.
Hi, Loretta. How are you?
Good. How are you?
It's kind of cold here in Ohio, but I was thinking about it. Do you get those mitigating winds off of Lake Michigan up there in St. Joseph? Does that keep you a little warmer?
We do. It doesn't keep us warmer. It keeps us colder.
Well, I thought maybe that would be a help.
Yep, and you guys got a lot more snow than we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of snow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our guest tonight, I don't think has snow. And is my shirt causing mauve effects for you, Jim?
Yes, it is. But that's cool. I like it.
Oh dear. I thought about that when I put my vest back on, maybe. Okay. Well, while Jim's getting lined up here, we don't want to take too much time.
All right. We'll go ahead and let everybody know who brings this wonderful show to you.
Okay, go to it.
The UltraCycling Magazine show is brought to you by the Race Across America time stations in Ohio. 41 Oxford, 42 in Blanchester, and 43 in Chillicothe. We also want to thank Mike Minium, the sign man in Ohio, who puts these great caution bike route signs throughout the route in Ohio for the Race Across America. You can purchase one of these signs for a souvenir at any of the 3 time stations in Ohio. Everyone purchased helps put another one out for the next year. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and like us. And don't forget to ring that bell. All right, we're back here after that little commercial. So, do we have any news, Lee?
No news. I think let's talk about next week. And we're going to have James Benson King on. He lives in England, but he set a record. I can't think of the name of the pass right now, but we'll find out next week. They're in India. Quite achievement, I think. And we'll be talking to him not only about that ride, but about his other cycling events, Jim. So, Loretta, tell us, why don't you introduce our guest this evening?
I would love to introduce Larry. I met him at Calvin's Challenge, and we just became fast friends. And when I was down in Hilton Head last fall, he invited us to his home. So when I heard he was going to be on here, I jumped at the chance to introduce him. He's just a really super great guy. He is a legendary ultra endurance athlete who has held multiple world records on his recumbent bike, and he's still out there chasing ones. He's also the race director for several major ultra distance events across the U.S., bringing his passion, expertise, and unmatched experience to every course he designs. So we are thrilled to have you here, Larry. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Boy, that's hard to live up to all that good stuff. But it's wonderful to be here. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the show next week. I remember actually certifying James's record. He actually went from Kumlat City to Umling La.
Wow.
Was the actual point.
Okay.
And what's funny about that record actually is that I just read somewhere that they just made a new road that goes higher than that now. And so he's going to have to like redo the record to go
Redo
to
it
the
over
highest
again.
possible
Well,
point, I guess, sometime this year. But
Never fails, does it?
yeah, but that's the thing about records. There's always another one over the hill, and once somebody starts doing them like him, I mean, people just come back again every year to do a different one. So it's kind of a neat job to have. I meet a lot of cool people, and
Yeah.
usually everybody just comes back the next year and does another one. So, but I'm
well,
happy to be here.
before Loretta starts questioning you, just want to remind anybody watching that they can ask questions by using the comments section on either Facebook or YouTube. So we hope we get some questions. Hope we get
Yeah.
some
So one of the
viewers.
so one of the first questions I have, is being in this ultra cycling community, and then I'm at different races. I've had people ask me, Loretta, how in the world do I set a record? And my response is, check with Larry. So Larry, what is the process if somebody wanted to set a world record? How do they go about doing that?
Okay, well, probably the first thing you do is go on to the ultracycling.com website, and we're known as World UltraCycling. So here's the actual process. I think Jim just put it up there. This is one of our pages, and if you actually look at that picture a little bit, that's kind of our website header up there, and there's a records kind of drop down there that's kind of painted blue, and you get to all the different record stuff by clicking that link. Yeah, see, now if you pull down, you see attempt a record, and then you can look at the process, you can look at the rules, you can look at the fees, and if you go back over to the right, you can actually search for the individual records, like the point-to-point records that are made and the distance records. Well, don't do this. This one's kind of hard to go, but do that again and you can go to the city to city or whatever. But basically, you have to go here first, and you kind of have to decide what kind of record you want. Just while he's kind of mousing through there, we have point-to-point records that you can pretty much do like any state crossing that you want to do. It's like if you live in Iowa and you say, look, I want to own the Iowa state record. You can go north to south or south to north or east to west or west to east. We monitor records for every state in every direction, every country in every direction, even circumnavigation records, like, going around the Great Lakes and stuff. People really love to do things like that. Region records, and we have somebody that's going from the top of Alaska to the bottom of South America right now. She's
That's
actually
awesome.
like on her 103rd day.
Yeah, I've been following her. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is. Ashley Miles, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I basically check her thing every day because
Yeah.
if I didn't, when she has me to verify it would take me weeks and weeks. And
Yeah.
so I continually certify every day that she goes along. But, to basically answer your question, you have to first kind of decide what do you want to do. But we have records for virtually like anything you want to do, just pure time and distance. If you say, I want to ride the fastest 100-mile, we do a 100-mile record, and you would do that like on a fixed course. You could do it on a velodrome or on, like if somebody had like a racetrack where you lived and you wanted to ride on that racetrack, you just go to them and ask them if you can rent it for like 4 or 5 hours, and you can do basically a record on an outdoor track. You can go to any velodrome in the world and you can do different time and distance records on those. So we have just about everything that you'd want to do. The only thing that you probably can't do right now is set a world record on an ultracycling event.
Okay.
That you mentioned earlier, Loretta. Like
Yep.
if somebody came to Calvin's and said, I want to set the world record for the Calvin's course. We don't have a way to do that yet.
Right.
So all the records are really done kind of as a solo kind of thing without other riders kind of racing, next to you. So there's nothing kind of like the Olympics yet.
Right.
But we're hoping for that as well.
Okay.
So how does a person like myself here in Michigan find a course, or would it be best if someone like Michigan, there's really not much flat land. So I would think that instead of here in Michigan, that I would want to do something like in North Carolina or in Florida. How does someone go find routes for this?
You kind of just have to look around, or you ask, or you ask me.
Okay.
Kind of have ideas, and we also each course has to be surveyed also. So I actually go through a survey process where I measure the course using like Google Earth Pro, and we get an exact distance for the course down to the centimeter. And then
Wow.
we register that course certification. And so anybody else can use it, so once you find out that somebody's done one somewhere, then you can reuse their course. And so we have them, we don't have like one in every state, but usually you want to find a nice flat kind of circular course that is all right turns,
Yeah.
that doesn't have like a lot of climbing. And because those are the ones that you can actually, go the fastest on. You don't want to have a course that goes up and down the Blue Ridge Parkway,
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I have to say my favorite course, and if I were to break a record, which maybe someday, maybe the 12-hour, maybe, but I would definitely head towards Georgia. That was my favorite course last September by far. I just love that course.
Well, that's great. And see, that would be a great course for setting a record too, because, you rode 30 miles and you climbed like maybe 30 feet, right?
Yep.
Over the whole 30 miles. And
Yep.
so that's like the perfect kind of course for something like that. Yep.
But I think I passed 2 cars in 6 hours. Bonus
It's
for that. Yeah.
definitely a nice course.
Yeah. So then the next question then is, okay, so they got the course, they're ready to go. Now, do they have to hire a record person to come watch them, or do they submit their Garmin? How does that work?
Okay, well, that's a great question, Loretta. Well, we have a concept here. We actually have 2 different types of records. The one you're talking about is an officiated record.
Okay.
And so we have what we call the World UltraCycling Association is known as WUCA. So I'm just going to say WUCA when I'm talking about that. But you would employ a WUCA official, and that kind of sounds really hard, but it's not really hard, because what you just find somebody that is willing to officiate your record. They sign up with WUCA as an official, and then I give them a test.
Yep.
There's a test for every kind of a venue, because you can actually do a record, like I said, on the road. It can be on an open road that's a public thing. It can be on an outdoor track. It can be on an outdoor velodrome. It can be on an indoor velodrome. So there's different tests based on what the official has to do based on their venue. And so I would give the official the test, and it's an open book test. And it's kind of like, it's one of those silly tests that teach you what you're supposed to do. So by the time you get done taking the test, you kind of know what you're supposed to do, right? So it's a test that nobody really fails.
Yeah. It was very painless when I did it.
Yeah.
Even
And
Jim,
it's-
even Jim passed.
Even
it.
Jim can pass it. Yeah.
So, and it's automated at this point. We use Google Forms. And so I would email the Google form to the people that you would put down as your officials. They would take it. I would get notified of it. And then they sign a couple forms, that says they're going to be unbiased on it, and that they're going to honor the WUCA rules. And then they pretty much are there, and they observe what you do. If you're doing like a record, say at that course that we were talking about, they would actually follow you in a vehicle, because they can't see you all the time. If it's not like in a velodrome, they can just sit down at a table and watch you go round and round, right? But if it's on a course, then they have to ride in a vehicle as the observer, that's the official, which means you also have to have a crew member. So there's officials and there's crew. The official has to take the test, and they're responsible for observing and for logging every time you come through the lap what the time was. Then you have your crew people that ride in your van. A crew person would actually be the driver, because the official should never be driving, because they're supposed to be like watching you. So those are the 2 main people that are involved, during an attempt. And you can have, some like a 24-hour attempt. You might kind of want to have more than one of each of those people, because
Definitely.
with 24 hours is a long time, and that's actually the maximum time that you're allowed to serve continuously is 24 hours. So if your attempt takes longer than that, you have to have, more than one official and more than one crew. But we always kind of say, look, try to get enough people so they only have to serve for like 6 hours at a time, because even 6 hours, on the bike is the fun part. You can ride forever, but sitting in a car for 6 hours,
It's a long time.
it's just a psychological kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
or at the table on a velodrome. It's a long haul.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the most amazing ones are on the velodrome,
Yeah.
when you're like on a 250-meter thing. I mean, they go around so fast. I don't actually, I've never done it for that long, but to think that people have done that for 24 hours straight,
Mm-hmm.
round and round, every 15 seconds or something stupid like that. That takes a whole different kind of person.
Definitely.
So do you pay these people to do this? Do you work out a contract with them? How does
Yeah,
that?
you kind of, I think some people pay people, but usually they're like cycling friends in your cycle group, or they go to your church, or you just know them and they're just kind of happy to be involved with it. I mean, I've had people actually fly me to a site. They wanted me to do it, right? And so, like, I have a friend in Chicago who goes, I want you to be my official. And so he just flew me to Chicago, and I went there to the velodrome, and I was his official during that time. He didn't really pay me, but he at least bought me there. But usually, you just find people locally around. We don't have thousands of members, and we don't have people everywhere in every state that are, just there that we can assign, like UCI would possibly do. But that's kind of how that works.
So if someone is in the year, their birth year of switching decades, does the day of the record go their actual birthday, or does it go the age that they're going to be on December 31st of that year?
It goes by their actual birth date.
Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
It used to be the other way.
Yeah.
But since we started doing some records that were based on birth dates, so we have some records that are called oldest records or youngest records.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we really had to switch to do everything by the exact birth date.
Okay.
So if you actually turned a certain age, like the day you finished your record, that's what the age would be. Like I did one on my 65th birthday last year, where I actually ended the record on my birthday. And so, I was like 65 then for that record. It was kind of a cool thing to do, but that's how the age thing works.
Okay. But this weekend, I'll be following my good friend Matthew Lefty. He'll be in Arizona doing the 12-hour on a recumbent bike.
I know he's going to
so cool.
He's breaking like 9 of my records on next Sunday. So
I want to do yours.
You'll have to get back out there, Larry.
There's no way I can compete with him. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and I've probably spent, I spent a lot of time in the last couple of months getting him all set up on the bike and teaching him how to build it, how to ride it, and how to get it going fast. But
and now he's going to do you in.
But he's just a whole nother weight level higher than me. I mean, he can.
He's amazing.
His one leg is as strong as both of mine together.
Yep.
And so
I have a question, or
Sure.
You didn't mention in the records the capital to capital records,
right.
and there's just an untold opportunity there, Larry. I'm thinking here of two situations that involve. I've been trying to encourage some of my family. I think there ought to be a Kreider in the records somewhere. And here in the Midwest, we yet have no one who's done. I mean, there's just records waiting to be had. Columbus to Indianapolis, roughly 200 miles, flat as a pancake. And I could see somebody doing Columbus to Indianapolis to Springfield, Illinois, and back again, and set what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records all in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm.
So
it could happen, and it's kind of funny. We had all those, and I think there was a time when that was more popular to do. When this whole WUCA, actually, a quick history lesson if you want. WUCA used to be known as the Ultra Marathon Cycling Association.
Interesting.
And it was created in 1980. And I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of John Marino.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Or Michael Sherman or Lon Haldeman.
Yep.
Those three basically created what was known as the UltraCycling Ultra Marathon Cycling Association. Yeah. And so the records kind of came out of that. And for a long time, people were doing all kinds of, cross states and capital to capital, city to city. And there's a lot of tandem riding going on back then too. And I think it just kind of flows in cycles. You know, we've done a lot more time and distance kind of events, and people have gotten into a whole lot more country crossings. You know, the ultra has just grown so wide in that, and you know, we do off-road and gravel stuff now. But you're right, Lee. I mean, if somebody wants to set a record, there's so many out there that have never been set that it would be cool to own.
Yeah, and I pointed out to my Colorado children, no one has gone from Denver to Cheyenne, which is just a hair over 100 miles. It's waiting for somebody.
It is, and what's even cooler is we just introduced about a year and a half ago. We not only have these officiated records that I was explaining to Loretta, but we actually have a whole self-supported category now too. So you can go do one basically all by yourself. Actually, the rule is you can't have any help from anybody.
Interesting.
And so it kind of takes off like the Trans Am in a way, you know, what the Trans Am is, right? Where they go there and they can't get help from anybody at all. And so that's really what our unsupported is.
I think to perfect that, you can't get help from anybody that any other cyclist couldn't get.
Exactly. It has to be from something public. So if you get a flat, you can call an Uber and you can go down to the bike shop, but you can't stop at Aunt Nancy's house for a nice supper, you know, because everybody doesn't get to stop at Aunt Nancy's house.
Exactly. Or have somebody stop and bring you some supplies along the way.
Another wheel. Right? They can't bring you another wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
now I'm assuming that's unofficiated.
That's an unofficiated thing. And what happens is the way we do that now, what makes it so much more possible is that because people can take GPS tag pictures and stuff, we can make people kind of verify where they're at. We used to have people like sign a witness log and stuff, and even James, you know, he was kind of helping kind of hash this out because he was getting up in places where there was just nobody.
Nobody, right?
You know, he WhatsApps me here, and he's like, I can't find anybody to like even do my witness thing. And I said, well, you know, just take a GPS video of yourself then, and we kind of use Strava now for these unsupported records because Strava, you probably know this, but if you upload your pictures into Strava and you took them with your GPS tags, Strava will put the pictures right on your course where you were. And so, I mean, that's kind of the perfect validation thing for us, you know, because we're not following behind in a car. But if you took a picture and the phone already tells you where the picture was taken at, then it's pretty good proof that you've been to that spot.
But I know somebody that went all the way to New Zealand just to sign Joanne Sharp's card.
Yeah, well, I didn't go there just for that, but it was a very really cool coincidence that I was there for her doing that. I have a daughter that lives in Christchurch, and we went there to see our granddaughter, and it just so happened that Joanne was actually passing through Christchurch while I was there. And so I chased her down, which actually that was like the hardest thing to do is try to find where she was going because she was unsupported, but she had a tracker on her. But the tracker was always like 10 or 15 minutes behind. And so I kept going where she was. And then she was just down the road. But I finally did catch up with her and we got a picture together. I got to sign, I got to sign her witness book. So that was a pretty cool serendipity thing happened there.
That's really cool. So I have one more question before I turn this over to Jim and or Lee, see if they have any additional questions. And there's two parts to this question. So let's tell me is they got all the, first of all, how far in advance do they need to let you know? And secondly, like, okay, someone's going to break this record on this day and it happens to be a thunderstorm and super windy on that day. Is there a window that you can change your date?
Yes. Okay. So the first question is that we like to have a 21-day advance notice for the attempts. The unsupported attempts, I lowered that down to a week because there's not as much to do. But you know, for when you're doing an attempt and you got officials set up, I have to send tests. We have forms to collect. There's all that stuff you got to kind of work out. So
Releases.
21-day advance notice. If you've already done records before and you know what you're doing, if you come to me and say, "Oh, I want to do one in 2 weeks," and I'm like, "Well, we can do it, but if you can't get your stuff done, then you're not going to do it on the time that you want."
Okay.
So the other answer to your question is you pick a date usually, and this is all in our rules. But if you say I want to do one on December 20th, you get to do it on the 19th or the 20th or the 21st.
You have a 3-day window. Okay.
Without like telling me about it.
Okay.
If you don't tell me, you can do it on all 3 of those days, and I don't even care.
Okay.
I'm just going to collect the stuff when you're done.
Fair
Most people usually communicate with me like all the time when they're doing records, and so I almost always know what's going on. If there's bad weather, it's basically you just say the weather's bad and I want to change it, and I'm saying, okay, fine, just change it to something else. What we really don't want people doing is not setting a date. And say you're doing Iowa west to east, right? And you set it, and the weather's horrible, and you have a horrible headwind, and you say, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait for a tailwind. We can't let you wait for a tailwind. We want you to set another date, but we don't want you to like continually pause it and pause it and pause it and pause it until you get like this awesome tailwind, right? Yeah. Because that's kind of unfair. With all the time and distance records, which are all on loop courses, we don't even care about that, because if you're on a circular course, if the wind is going one way with you, it's with you the other way.
Right.
And we really don't want you riding in bad weather. We don't really want anybody riding an attempt in bad rain or thunderstorms. And even to that fact is if you're riding a really long one, I mean, if you do a multi-day event, you're probably going to get rained on at some point.
Right. Sure.
If you have like actually a really dangerous weather condition, we allow you to actually halt the record. The official can say, it's too dangerous. I see the tornado over there. Everybody under the semi, and we note that in the log, and that just will come off the actual time of the record. And truthfully, I mean, I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years and probably 500 records. I think I've only done one. I've only had one where somebody like had to stop the record, because there was something dangerous going on. But there's always really weird things, kind of like, I don't know, for instance, if you're doing a state-to-state crossing, you have to find the farthest, like, western part, the western road to ride on, and the farthest eastern road. Yeah. And say sometimes these are bridges, right? Because a lot of times the state borders are like rivers or whatever. I mean, one time a river was flooded, and the person says, I can't get to the middle of the river to start my attempt. And I said, well, all you got to do is get to the spot where you can start, measure that distance that you couldn't ride, and back up the road that extra mile and start your record a mile away, right? So at least you've ridden, that exact distance that the other person rode. And so there's always kind of a way around to kind of, make things work for somebody, no matter really what's going on.
I know with Phil Fox circling the lakes, he can't cross the bridges on a bike, so you've let them start on one side and end on the other.
Right. And for really, really long attempts, say there's some people have done like Europe north to south, and they have to take like a ferry across, a lake or something. What we do in those instances is we have a minimum mileage that must be covered for that record. And so if they're forced to kind of take a ferry or a train, that kind of happens with Japan crossings too, because there's all those islands and you kind of have to hop from one island to the next sometimes. And so we have hopefully every case kind of covered where we know that person is going to have to get on a train or a ferry or something. And as long as they cover, 3,000 miles or whatever mileage we give them, then that's really, the record is that they rode that many miles from one point to the other.
Yeah.
And to actually answer a question that you haven't even asked yet, for a lot of these point-to-point records too, we don't care what route you take.
Yeah.
All we care about is that you start on point A and you go to point B.
And you can go whichever way you want.
You get to choose the course. And so it's not like RAM where you have to like follow the route that I give you. You found the route that's best for you. And if there's if you know there's road construction somewhere, you just go around it.
Gotcha.
And you don't get disqualified. For going backwards on the route or anything. You just go from point to point. And the record is not how many miles you went. The record is how fast you went from
Point A to point B.
Point A to point B. And that's how all the point to point records kind of are is like that. And that's what's so different about, the time and distance one. Like the one that Matthew's doing next Sunday, he's on a 2.4 mile course, and he's going to ride that 2.4 mile course for 12 hours around and around and around until 12 hours is over. And then we count his laps, and that's how we know how far he went. So those are a totally different concept than all the other point to point things.
Sure.
Now, back to Loretta's first question.
Sure.
Yeah, the 21 days you mentioned. If you have to certify a new course, is there additional time required there, or does that fall within 21 days?
Usually when somebody kind of asks me, I tell them I can probably do it, but it would be nice to have longer time.
Right. So if you're going to do a non-certified course, you need to have some extra time. That's where I was going, correct?
Yeah. And I can do it like I'm doing it for Matthew. I've done it like in 14 days, right? But it's kind of not a busy time of year right now.
Right.
But if you hit me up like in June or July, and I'm like, sometimes I'm juggling 30 or 40 simultaneous records in different parts of the process, and it might be hard to kind of get everything done. But
Gotcha.
Exactly. Most people come to me and tell me what they're going to do even before they register. That's kind of, I spend a lot of my time just answering questions like this on emails where people are asking me, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And then they finally register. And so they already kind of know, if we know they're going to need a survey, then, I say, well, I might even do it even before they register. So the survey is kind of there, but
I think a good plan would be to find someone who's already done that route and use their files. So
exactly, that's the best thing to do. I have 2 or 3 of them around here, and so if you ever want to do one here, you can just come here, and then I can.
I want to do one in Georgia, this summer. But anyways, my friend Doug did one across Michigan, and there isn't one from point A to point B in Michigan in my age group. So that's on my bucket list in September, and he sent me the files already. So I'm already, I feel like ahead of the game a little bit. But I'm excited about this, and I'm so glad that you shared your expertise. There's a lot of questions that people have about this, and I'm so excited that so many people want to do this now. It just makes me smile that ultracycling is just really growing just in the little bit of time I've been involved in it.
It truly has. And I guess to answer, the other thing is, nobody really knows this probably, but you can register for an attempt, and you can pretty much kind of use that registration for a whole year.
Oh,
so,
nice.
You can register way ahead. I have people that have registered for next June and July already because they just want to get everything done, And so, it's not like you're going to lose the money or lose the registration. You can use it for a whole entire year at that point.
Really
And
nice.
if you're really nice, I might even extend it longer if there's some extenuating circumstances. So it's not like we're trying to take your money and not let you do the record, but we just want to encourage everybody to do a record and to have a blast doing it.
Well, I'm always looking for a reason to head back to Hilton Head. I really like it there.
Larry,
Now, are there additional requirements to do a Guinness record as well?
yeah, that's
Or
my
is that separate, or?
yeah.
Okay, so I can cover that. That's a great question. Let's see, 3 or 4 years ago, I'm not even sure how it happened, but I developed kind of a relationship with Guinness. I guess there have always been ultracycling records in Guinness, but what people did, they had to kind of apply for them on their own, or Guinness actually certified them, which was horrible because they just took forever. And so when Guinness found out that we were doing them, we reached an agreement, and WUCA is the official agent now for all the world's ultracycling records for Guinness.
Okay.
And so if you, Jim, for instance, if you called Guinness and said, I want to do a
How
USA
slowest
West
ride
to East
across
record.
Ohio?
Yeah. Well, I'll explain it. But if you go to them and say, I want to do an ultracycling record, they're going to say, go talk to Larry.
Gotcha.
Is what they're supposed to say. Now, the problem is they're a huge company.
Right.
And they don't tell everybody this. And so some people get stuck in the web of Guinness and they end up doing their record with Guinness. And then all of a sudden I found out about it, and it doesn't match
Yeah,
up with the
yeah.
stuff that we do. But
Right.
that rarely happens anymore. But because we're the only I guess, association that's kind of known for doing the records, so Guinness trusts us.
Mm-hmm.
So they send anybody to us, and what that does is I'm actually the agent for Guinness, and so I have a login into their database. I go in and I can create a title. I have a team that I work with at Guinness to kind of make the title match what they want it to say, to match their stuff. And I kind of get pre-approval that if we certify the record, that Guinness will accept it, which is really a big deal. And so that's really just we do that for our members. There's actually no additional cost. Our solo record attempt is like a $200 fee. That covers for everything. But if it qualifies for Guinness, then we just help you apply for the Guinness record as well, which is a huge savings. If you go to Guinness and you want to pay for like expedited stuff, would have somebody of them come. I mean, it's like thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. So this is a much quicker and more cost-effective way to do it. Now, having said all that, there are certain records that Guinness does not actually put in that we do. So I guess I can kind of go down really quick. We do all across states, for any country really. Like if a country kind of has states within it, we'll do that. And we do all these city to city and capital to capital. Guinness doesn't let us certify those kinds of records. Like North to South Alabama is never be a Guinness record.
Right.
It's like it's not epic enough for them. Now I talked them into doing the records for Phil Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, the whole Great Lakes thing, I kind of sold that to them. He's going to do one of every one, And so we got those approved by Guinness for Guinness records.
Mm-hmm.
But usually all the time and distance ones will always be, everything from 100 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers and 100 miles to 1,000 miles of every possible category, outdoor velodrome, indoor velodrome, road cycling, outdoor track, male, female, any type of bike. I mean, there's all these different combinations. So we're allowed to put all those kinds of records in Guinness. We're allowed to put any country crossing into Guinness as well in each direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
All continent crossings, region crossings, anything that they consider super epic. It's usually got to be over like 1,000 miles, for if it's not a country crossing. Obviously, it can be a country crossing like for Cuba would not be 1,000 miles, but because it's a country, they accept, a Cuba crossing as an official title. So it's usually country crossings and all the different time and distance things that would be like automatic Guinness records. And if it's not those, then you kind of come to Larry, and Larry goes and begs Guinness, hey, can we do this one? And we try to sell it to them, but sometimes they say no.
Mm-hmm.
But like they would do. I actually got one approved that I was going to do myself this year, but I think it's too late. It was like the circumnavigation of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, that was a pretty epic thing because it's over 2,000 miles. If you circumnavigated like the whole entire Florida coast and up across the top, they said, yeah, that's pretty epic. And the record like that James did, that was a super epic record of going from the lowest spot on Earth, all the way to the highest road. And so those are the kinds of things that Guinness loves to have from the ultracycling perspective.
Kind of a
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now, correct me if I was under the impression, Larry, that Guinness does not do age level records. Is that true?
That's true too. I did forget about that. I'm sorry. It has to be what we would consider a non-age group record, right? And so
sorry, Loretta.
That's okay.
But see, it doesn't matter what age you are. It just matters that you have the best record over all the ages, right? And in reality, I mean, there's so many less women's records out there.
Yeah, indeed.
every woman who rides a bike could probably get a record. I mean, because there are so many possibilities. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So they do have women's records as well as men's Guinness.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, I
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
they do.
got
And
that
they even
clarified.
have records. I mean, if you're disabled in any way, I mean, I had a guy that actually had his leg. He had lost his leg like up by his thigh, and he did an indoor velodrome record. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And so there's all these categories for different kinds of like disabilities that can be set also. And we honor all those variations, like if somebody's blind or half-sighted. I mean, there's almost anything that you could think of. If somebody can ride a bike, they can set a record, and Guinness will honor all those types of, disabilities, which I guess that's probably not politically correct to say that anymore. I can't think of the right
It
word
is
anymore.
correct. I work in that arena. That is correct. You say it correct. You say that the person first in the disability. You are correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's helpful because Loretta, I struggle with that myself. How do I address those kind of issues? And I have a variety of reasons why I need to do that.
It's always person first, disability second. So be the person who's blind, the person who lost their leg. That's the appropriate way, the correct way to say it. Very cool. You shed a lot of light. You're a lot of light on this, Larry. I really appreciate that. You have a lot of knowledge.
What we haven't touched on, and I don't know how much time we're going to have here. Larry also is the organizer and sponsor of a number of races. He's trying to revitalize some that got lost in the shuffle somewhere along the line. And you want to just say a word about that, Larry, and where we can find out about them.
okay. Yeah, I basically have restarted Calvin's Challenge. It's usually in May. I restarted Sebring. It's usually in February. Sebring, Florida. Calvin's Challenge is in Springfield, Ohio. I'm starting up the National 24-Hour Challenge again. That's in Middleville, Michigan. That's always on Father's Day weekend in June. And then I created a brand new one of my own down in Rincon, Georgia, called the Georgia Time Trial Challenge. And so right now I'm doing all 4 of those. They're all on Bike Reg. They're all on the UltraCycling calendar. So if you go to the UltraCycling webpage, you click on the calendar thing and you can see those events, and they're all on the eastern side of the country right now. So it's been, it's really been fun to do those. I wrote in those all myself, and I hated to see them when they disappeared. I kind of understand maybe why they do disappear, because they're kind of hard to do.
Yep.
And you don't really make all that good of money. I mean, you're not going to get rich doing them either. You're
Doing it for the love of the sport.
But it's for the love of the sport, and for right now, I've got time to do it. I'm kind of semi-retired, and I just ride my bike a lot and do these records and do the events. So I have a full and happy life from the cycling perspective as well.
Well, just let me interrupt here to say that it's the time of year, if you're a World UltraCycling member, to renew your membership.
Definitely.
I'm almost sure I have done mine, Larry. I was going to check on the website to make sure, but it's time to renew. And if you're not a member, it's really time to think about that. You say, well, I don't want to set a record, but hey, I'm never going to set a record. Support the sport.
Yes.
I mean, you're helping this organization do something really wonderful. And what is it, $35 or is it 45 now? I forget.
I think it's 45 now, but and thank you for mentioning that, Lee. And one thing I just want to also mention is that WUCA isn't just records either. We're kind of a community. We host the calendar for all these events.
Right.
We also have the year-rounder challenge that we encourage cyclists to ride a century every once a month. And so we get a lot of Randonneur people and stuff doing that. And so there's so much more to WUCA really than records. Records is kind of what keeps the organization going, really. What people pay for the records kind of help keep the lights on, so to speak. but we have all these other challenges. If you go to these different events like this, there's like a yearly 12-hour challenge where people, whoever rides the most miles for each age group, they get recognized for winning the 12-hour challenge or the 24-hour challenge or different things like that. So there's lots of information that can be had on the website about ultra riding an ultra race and how to do it and meeting other people. So that's a great lead in, Lee. I appreciate you just kind of mentioning that, because I did want to get a chance to, talk about the other aspects of WUCA as well, other than the records.
Yeah, and it's a good feeling to be able to support those adventures.
Yeah. One question, crazy question for me. How do you guys do you do virtual records also, or is there such a thing?
We just started doing the virtual records actually, and
Okay.
and the funny thing is, Matthew Left Hand, he was the
Right.
first person to actually do it. He did it after Sebring, and
Mhm.
if you guys remember, he rode 576 miles
Amazing.
in Sebring, and I said, well, we have this new virtual record thing, and so how that actually works is we make the rider go out on a local course and actually ride with their power meter, and we have a proprietary program within our database that will figure their CDA value, right? And then that's basically that's how fast you go on your bike at whatever power, right? And so what we do is we let them ride in any virtual environment they want. I mean, Zwift is absolutely the most popular, but we let them ride anywhere they want, and they can ride with people. They can draft in Zwift. They can do whatever. But what we do is we record their power while they're having their fun, and their mileage gets based on whatever their power is, which was based on their real life little benchmark test on like a 10-mile thing.
Great way of doing it.
What's really amazing is Matthew, he did, gosh, I can't remember how many miles now, but it was something stupid like, it might have been over 700 miles. Or maybe it was 670 miles or something for 24 hours. He went faster than any bike on Zwift would have actually let him go. His Zwift mileage was way less because his Zwift bike was just not as aerodynamic as his own bike. Right. And so, and it's funny that you mentioned this, and this might tweak the ears to some people, but I'm really trying to find a company like Zwift or like Rovi that I eventually see us being able to do virtual records of all the records, all the point to points. You could say, hey, Larry, I want to do a, Washington, D.C. to Pittsburgh virtual record. And I've already went and rode the route on my car, and you go get on Zwift or get on Rovi, and you'll actually ride the real ride on your bike. You'll look at the same sites, and you'll go just like you kind of do now on virtual, where however hard you pedal, that's how fast you go, and you go up the hills and down the hills.
That's
and we'll
cool.
have a virtual record for every possible record, that you can do. For right now, it's just a time and distance kind of thing. You just ride for 24 hours and see how many miles you do.
That's cool.
But what's actually even cooler, hopefully I got enough time. I recently
Go ahead.
2 records, one for an 8-year-old.
Wow.
And one for a 10-year-old. Okay.
That's awesome.
A family up in Pittsburgh, they did one on an outdoor velodrome. So we're like starting to appeal to the younger generation,
That's so cool.
is just amazing. And just last week, I did a virtual record for both of them they did a virtual record as well, a 6-hour virtual record. So here's 2 little guys, an 8-year-old guy and a 10-year-old guy. And I'm actually trying to get them into Guinness now as like the youngest guys that have, done
That's
records
awesome.
within WUCA. And so I think we're going to really see I'm really hoping for a big surgence in just, the younger clientele, because the ultracycling, you go to these events and the average age is like probably well over 50. People like Matthew and Ryan Collins, they're very few and far between where you get these really young guys. And so I'm really hoping that this stuff just keeps building and building, and we have more and more and more.
That's so good to see some new names here on the show. We try to we always on the lookout for young talent, Larry. and try to highlight young talent because you look at some events and you begin to see, well, wait a minute, these are all business people who are in their 40s and 50s and it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing for them. And we like to see some of this talent happen. And we're
Yeah.
very happy here at the UltraCycling Magazine. Now, we're not officially connected to World UltraCycling, but we consider ourselves uh, in the same genre and collaborators, I guess we'd say it, Larry.
Absolutely.
And we love to support you in any way we can, and enjoy this a great deal.
Definitely. And only one request for this year's Calvin's: no wind.
Well, I think we had enough last year. We had enough this year for 5 years, I think. 'Cause
Definitely.
You were pointing out about the wind not being a factor on a circuit ride, except those rides where the wind seems to blow both ways, Larry.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know-
it's still a factor, but at least you do get it behind you sometimes. But
Yeah.
What?
ideally,
10%
you do
of the
always
circuit.
lose.
10%.
But I'll have to tell you that, I mean, I was so amazed at how fast those guys went at Calvin's. The guys that won it.
definitely.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, how could they go that fast when the winds were like 30 miles an hour, like almost all
Some
day?
people got blown off their bikes.
It wore us
No.
out on the tandem.
I just don't know how they went so fast.
Yeah.
I just don't. But they're just so strong.
Larry,
And
thank you.
Calvin's next year we're actually hosting the Elliptigo World Championships
Oh,
there
wow.
Oh, okay.
too. So I don't know if you ever have any Elliptigo people on the show.
We haven't
But
yet.
that's a whole nother
Not
kind
yet.
of a cool. I've got a guy I think lives in Phoenix. I can maybe point you to. He might be a really
Please do.
interesting.
Anytime you have somebody you run across, Larry, that you think ought to be highlighted, let us know
Okay.
because we're always on the lookout.
Is that also the 12-hour as well? Championship or 6?
The Calvin's is the 12-hour national championship, right? The Georgia one is the 6-hour, and the Sebring is the 24.
Right.
So, yep.
Okay, very well.
Excellent.
What haven't we covered, Larry, that you'd like to talk about?
Oh goodness, I'm trying to think. And there was so much stuff I wanted to say, and it seems like I guess one other quick thing as far as the records go. There's also all the records can be done by teams. Okay, so you can have a 2-person team for all those varieties of records I said. You can get 2 people to go out, and you can either do it a relay style thing, or you can do it where they're both together. So 2 and 4 and 8.
Interesting.
And of course, I mean, there's recumbents, there's velomobiles, there's tandems, there's elliptigos. I mean, we have the records for the elliptigos as well. And so it's like, if you can't figure out a record that you want to do, then you're just not thinking hard enough.
Now,
Because
does anybody have their record on multiple bike types for the same record? Does anybody try to do that?
well, I think
Question?
no, not yet. I
Not
think
yet?
that Matthew probably might be the first one
Didn't-
because he's going to go and get my records from the
Yep.
recumbent.
Didn't
then-
Valerie Nestursky and somebody do a multiple type of bike across Michigan?
Oh, she did do a team a few years ago.
But I think, was it 2 types of bikes?
I think it was just the same. I think it was both
Okay,
upright bikes.
I don't know why I was thinking that. But
Yeah, see, that's where you can mix the bike types up. You can mix, a mixed team has a man and a woman, right? But you can have a male team that's just all men. And so there's just all these different combinations that you can do. I mean, there's even records for fixed gear bikes, right? So you can go and set a fixed gear record for any of those categories as well. So it's almost like the combinations are almost like endless in a sense.
Larry, when this show's over, you're going to think about things you could have said. So make notes
Okay.
and hang on to them. I think this is worth another show, don't you, Loretta?
Indeed.
And but we do appreciate it. Thank you for spending time with us, Larry. And we're just so so excited to be a part of the WUCA family.
Mm-hmm.
And Loretta, as always, thank you.
You're welcome.
And of course, Jim, thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
Well, it's great to see you all again as well. And I appreciate being on the show.
Well, anytime you find somebody you think should be on, just let us know.
Yep. And with any
Okay, I
luck
will.
with CNC Bring, and definitely at Calvin's.
All right.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right. Let me see if we can find Greg.
Yep.
Okay.
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.